don't know if you have ever played the game of Monopoly. It starts off simply enough. You have enough money to buy the title to some land, and then, over time, and with enough money, you begin to build houses on the titles that you own. As the game progresses, the participants begin to build up property portfolios which are quite onerous, and some of us will have memories of hoping that the number we roll on the dice will get us safely around the houses that are owned on all 6 of the properties around the free parking space. Even more so if our opponent has multiple houses built on the blue squares near to the go corner. One of the things you learn in playing the game is that it's important to watch everything that is happening on the board. If you just get fixated on one thing, then you might just be missing something that is developing somewhere else on the playing arena, which can come and cost you dearly later. This video is not an instruction set on how to play Monopoly, but it is going to be a bit of a heads up on just what is unfolding around the peninsula with respect to the construction of houses. In particular, we are going to highlight some of the realities of the consequences of plans that have been in place, some for several years, and how all of those discrete projects and plans will come together in the coming years and how they could affect all of our lives. First of all, we're going to start with a reality which, until recently, I had not really thought about. It concerns a strip of road between Vaipond Road and the plaza in the centre of our Whangaparāoa community. The Penlink connection is expected to land pretty much in the middle of this particular stretch of road. If you look closely, you will see that any widening of this road to accommodate more than a single lane of traffic in each direction is probably never ever going to be economically viable, or maybe even physically possible. There are other parts of this road where that is also the case, and so this particular roading bottleneck should always be a consideration as we take a look at the key developments that are happening around our particular corner of the Monopoly board. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to focus mainly on the developments around Gulf Harbour. As we have previously discussed, anything that happens at the end of the single road that connects all of the communities of the peninsula is likely to affect all 33,000 people who live along this piece of land. Let's make a start in the part of the village which those of us who live here probably drive past or walk to or through every day. That lovely open green stretch of land between the road and the clock tower and waterways, with the cafes and shops around, has already been zoned to construct 235 dwellings, with an additional set of dwellings to house 100 care home residents. You can see from some of the drawings that it is planned to be a multi-storey development, which almost completely takes up the land in front of the 4-square shop and the land around it. Let's now continue further up Gulf Harbour Drive and pause at the entrance to Pinecrest Drive. You will see that there are a number of dwellings that are already under construction as you begin to walk down the other side of the hill. All of that land that you have just walked past is also consented for construction of at least 200 dwellings. In actual fact, the new zoning that now applies in the new unitary plan may allow for a considerably higher density. But there's more to see. We haven't time to wait here. Let's continue to the bottom of the hill and take a look over the land that surrounds Fairway Bay, below the road called the Anchorage. Zoning for 585 dwellings has been approved for that land. In addition to that, there are several sections above the anchorage that have yet to be built on. Continuing to the top of the hill at Pinecrest Drive, we can see the development continuing on the Hoppers development at Daisy Burrell Drive. It looks like it'll be a really nice place to live, especially if the proposed marina is also approved. That will be a further planned 89 dwellings. While we are here at the top of Pinecrest, we can look around a little further south and east and see the land between the tree line and the Gulf Harbour Country Club 12th hole. It is planned to develop a further 63 dwellings there. Our Monopoly board is getting quite full now, but there's more. I won't go all the way to the end of Pinecrest Drive, but there are a further 15 or so dwellings to be constructed there. For now, we will turn down into Tamoko Drive. It is plain to see the sections already ready to receive dwellings here. The plan is for 67 in total, aside from 2 supersets, which will house a further 58 dwellings between them. We can then cut through here and then up to Pacific Cliffs, take a quick look onto the land that is yet to be developed there. Yes, add another 19 dwellings on the Pacific Cliff space on the board. There is still more, continuing on across the back of the 18th tee, and here we come to Santa Rosa on Island View, where the third stage of the planned development will see a further 30 dwellings created over time. I didn't ask you to open your calculator app on your phone, but if you've been keeping up, you will see that just in Gulf Harbour alone, there is a very reasonable expectation that over the coming months, or maybe a few short years, we will see an increase of over 1,400 new dwellings. At the last census in 2018, there was an average of almost 3 people living in each home, actually around 2.8. If we assume that the average occupancy will be about the same, then we can expect to see an addition of almost 4,000 people living day to day in Gulf Harbour alone. That is an additional 4,000 people who will need somewhere to buy food, to eat out, to have somewhere to exercise and move about. It will be thousands more people who will need to have access to fresh water and doctors and healthcare. It will be an addition of at least 1,000 people who will need to attend kindergarten or school or college. It will likely mean an increase of around 2,000 cars using the same road in and out of Gulf Harbour several times a week, with many of them going on the single lane road to Silverdale and adding to the congestion all the way along that. And then, at the end of this exercise of looking at our corner of the Monopoly board and the dwellings that are already committed and expected to be built and occupied, we have the matter of Long River investments and the 2,000 to 3,000 homes that would be spread around all 18 holes of the Gulf Country Club. That would add another 8,400 residents to this small suburb at the end of the peninsula, along with a need for at least 2,500 places in schools, kindies and colleges. It would add a further 4,500 or more cars to the traffic in and out of this suburb. Let's just stop and restate those numbers from those last few sentences. Without any development on the golf course, we already can expect, based on the zoning and consents in place, a further 1,400 dwellings, 4,000 additional residents and 2,000 cars. And by the way, we are very well aware that that 1,400 dwellings is not counting every single vacant plot that is yet to be developed. If the golf course is also developed as envisaged by the current owner, that would be a further 3,000 dwellings, 8,400 residents and 4,500 cars. In total, that would make 4,400 dwellings, 12,400 residents and 6,500 cars. For comparison, that is the equivalent of adding another third of the population of the entire peninsula into the suburb of Gulf Harbour, which is at the very end of the peninsula, which means a single road in and a single road out. I don't think I'll spend any more time discussing this obviously preposterous consideration, which does not mean that it will not happen. It is just that my mind is tired from simply considering the inevitable reality of a further 1,400 dwellings already planned and zoned and mostly consented in this suburb, and all of the reality that will need to be contemplated to accommodate what that means in the lives of everyone who already lives here. I guess the message to all of us is to pay attention. This very special piece of New Zealand that so many of us call home is about to undergo substantial planned and committed change. The green space that is the Gulf Harbour Country Club is becoming more and more important to a balanced and wholesome physical and emotional well-balanced life, which is why at KWGS we are absolutely resolute that the Gulf Harbour Country Club cannot be repurposed into a new housing development. We are stubbornly committed to ensuring the upholding of the encumbrance, which was precisely crafted and put in place to protect not only the Country Club and Gulf Harbour suburb, but the entire peninsula from what would be a planning and daily experiential disaster for generations to come. If anyone watching this video has driven past any of the KWGS signs on the Peninsula Road and wondered why they spell a message of concern to the entire Peninsula community, this is why. The encumbrance is not just a matter of concern for a few golfers or even the 4,000 or so people who already live in reasonable proximity of the country club. It is not a not in my backyard reaction by some tetchy locals. It is a call to protect the lifestyle of every single one of the more than 33,000 people who call the peninsula their home. That is why KWGS is so focused on the encumbrance being upheld. It is why we remain committed to oppose any redevelopment of the green space that is the country club. And it is why we are keeping you all as informed about this important situation as we know how. Thank you all for your support to this point. We feel it and appreciate it. We will continue to do all we can to represent all of your best interests, both locally and nationally. At KWGS, we are staying closely involved. Keep Whangaparāoa Green Spaces was formed in 2021 by a group of peninsula locals when Greg Oliver first bought the golf course. They were suspicious that he would not be committed to running the golf course and maintaining this invaluable community asset. They believed that he would only be interested in closing the course to build houses, given his property development background. We have already represented everyone on the peninsula at council meeting of the Parks and Recreation Committee and presented a petition signed by almost 5,000 residents of the community. We have urged the council to maintain its stance on the encumbrance that is essential to preserve the quality of life that all residents of the peninsula, not just the residents of Gulf Harbour, and indeed not just its golfers, currently enjoy. Most importantly, you can get involved. First of all, if you can find the time to go to www.kwgnz.org, you can sign up for email updates, and we will be coordinating both communications and preparing actions that we can take as a community. Secondly, if you subscribe to this YouTube channel, you will be able to see all of the videos that we create. And if you press the notifications bell, then you will be notified when a new video update is available for you to watch. If you like the video, then YouTube will learn that there are people who are interested in this channel and it will be easier to find. There is no charge to you for doing any of this, and we maintain the highest standards of privacy and security with the information that you give to us. Thank you for watching this video. We will do our best to keep you up to date with developments that affect all of us as residents of this wonderful community on the Whangaparāoa Peninsula.